The words that come out of your mouth have more power than you might realize, especially when you're a woman over 70. What might shock you is that certain words and phrases you use every day could be undermining your confidence, diminishing how others perceive you, and even making you feel older and less capable than you actually are. If you've ever wondered why some women in their 70s and 80s seem to command respect and radiate vitality, while others seem to fade into the background, the answer might lie in something as simple as the language they choose to use. Communication psychologists who specialize in aging and self-perception have discovered something remarkable. The words we use don't just reflect how we feel about ourselves, they actually shape how we feel and how others respond to us. Dr. Ellen Langer, a Harvard psychologist who has spent decades studying the psychology of aging, found that when older adults change the language they use to describe themselves and their experiences, they literally experience improvements in their physical and mental well-being. This isn't about putting on a false front or pretending to be something you're not. This is about recognizing that you have 7 decades of wisdom, experience, and strength behind you, and ensuring that your language reflects that reality rather than undermining it. You've lived through historical events, raised families, built careers, overcome challenges, and accumulated a lifetime of knowledge. Your words should honor that journey, not diminish it. Sociolinguistics researchers, scientists who study how language affects social interactions, have identified specific words and phrases that can inadvertently signal weakness, uncertainty, or decline. When women over 70 eliminate these words from their vocabulary and replace them with more empowering alternatives, they report feeling more confident, being treated with greater respect, and experiencing improved relationships with family, friends, and even healthcare providers. The first word that communication experts say you should eliminate from your vocabulary is sorry, when you're not actually apologizing for something you've done wrong. Many women have been conditioned throughout their lives to apologize unnecessarily. But this habit becomes particularly problematic as we age because it can signal that you believe you're a burden or that your presence requires an apology. Linguistic psychologists explain that excessive apologizing can make others unconsciously view you as less confident and less deserving of respect. When you say sorry for taking up someone's time, for asking a question, or for simply existing in a space, you're essentially telling the world that you don't believe you have the right to be there, or that your needs don't matter. Instead of saying, sorry, could you help me with this? Try, excuse me, could you help me with this? Instead of, sorry I'm taking so long, try thank you for your patience. These alternatives acknowledge the social interaction without positioning yourself as someone who needs to apologize for having normal human needs. The second word that language experts recommend avoiding is confused when describing your understanding of technology, current events, or new systems. While it's natural to feel uncertain about things that are new or complex, labeling yourself as confused can reinforce negative stereotypes about aging and cognitive decline. Gerontologists who study successful aging note that when older adults frame their learning experiences positively, they actually learn more effectively and maintain better cognitive function. Instead of saying, I'm so confused by this smartphone, try, I'm still learning how to use this technology. Instead of, I'm confused about this new system, try, I need more information about how this works. This isn't about denying when you genuinely need help or clarification. It's about framing your learning process in a way that emphasizes growth and capability rather than deficiency. Remember, confusion is a temporary state that leads to understanding. It's not a permanent condition or a reflection of your intelligence. The third word, that communication. Specialists suggest eliminating is old when referring to yourself. especially in negative contexts. While there's nothing wrong with acknowledging your age, constantly referring to yourself as old can reinforce limiting beliefs about what you're capable of and can influence how others perceive your vitality and competence. Positive. Psychology researchers have found that people who use age-positive language tend to live longer, healthier lives, and maintain better cognitive function than those who consistently use age-negative language. Instead of saying, "I'm too old for this," try "this is new for me," or "I prefer to do things differently." Instead of "I'm just an old woman," try "I'm an experienced woman," or simply state your perspective without age qualifiers. The goal isn't to pretend you're younger than you are, but rather to focus on your current capabilities and interests, rather than limitations you assume come with age. Many of the things people attribute to being old are actually about preference, experience, or simply being selective about where you invest your energy. The fourth word that psycholinguistics experts recommend avoiding is just, when it diminishes your role or contributions. This tiny word can make your statement sound apologetic or minimize the importance of what you're saying or doing. For women over 70, who may already face ageism and sexism, using diminishing language can reinforce these biases. Communication researchers note that just often signals that you don't value your own input or that you're trying to make yourself smaller to avoid taking up too much space. When you say, "I'm just a grandmother," or "I was just wondering," you're undermining the significance of your roles and thoughts. Instead of "I'm just retired," try "I'm retired," or "I'm enjoying retirement." Instead of "I was just thinking," try "I think," or "in my experience." These changes are small but powerful. They position you as someone whose thoughts and experiences have value rather than someone who needs to apologize for speaking up. The fifth word that language experts suggest reconsidering is can't, when it's based on assumptions about age rather than actual inability. Many women over 70 have internalized messages about what they can't do at their age, but these assumptions often limit possibilities unnecessarily. Cognitive behavioral therapists who work with seniors observe that changing can't to more specific language often reveals that the limitation isn't about ability but about choice, resources, or interest. Instead of "I can't learn new technology," try "I choose not to learn that right now," or "I need support to learn that." Instead of "I can't travel anymore," try "I prefer local activities," or "I'm planning shorter trips." This distinction matters because can't suggests permanent limitation, while more specific language acknowledges that circumstances can change and that you have agency in your decisions. It also opens up conversations about what support or modifications might make something possible if you're genuinely interested. The sixth word that communication psychologists recommend avoiding is "dear" when addressing people who are younger than you, particularly in professional or service situations. While this might seem like a friendly, grandmotherly way to interact, it can actually create distance and reinforce age-based power dynamics that don't serve you well. Social psychology research shows that when older adults use overly familiar terms with younger people, especially in situations where they need assistance or service, it can trigger unconscious biases about aging and competence. Healthcare workers, store clerks, and service providers may unconsciously respond with less respect or attention when they're addressed in ways that emphasize the age gap. Instead of "thank you, dear," to a store clerk, try "thank you," or "I appreciate your help." Instead of "could you help me, sweetie," try "could you please help me?" These alternatives maintain warmth while positioning you as an equal rather than as someone who relates to others, primarily through your age or grandmotherly role. The seventh word that linguistic experts recommend eliminating is should when you're describing what you think you ought to be doing based on others' expectations rather than your own values and preferences. Women over 70 often carry decades of shoulds that no longer serve them, and continuing to use this language can perpetuate feelings of guilt and inadequacy. Psychotherapists who specialize in working with older women observe that should statements often reflect internalized expectations from earlier life stages that may no longer be relevant or beneficial. When you say, "I should visit my family more often," or "I should be more involved in community activities," you're often imposing external standards on yourself, rather than making conscious choices based on your current circumstances and desires. Instead of, "I should exercise more," try, "I want to find enjoyable ways to stay active," or "I'm exploring different types of movement." Instead of, "I should keep up with technology," try, "I'm interested in learning about tools that would benefit me." This shift moves you from obligation to choice, which is both more empowering and more likely to lead to positive action. Communication researchers note that when older adults replace should with language that reflects personal choice and values, they report feeling more authentic and experiencing less anxiety about meeting external expectations. At 70, you've earned the right to base your decisions on what truly matters to you, rather than what you think others expect. The 8th word that experts suggest reconsidering is burden when describing yourself or your needs. This word has become unfortunately common among women over 70, who often worry about being a burden to their families or society. However, using this language can become a self-fulfilling prophecy and can prevent you from seeking help when you need it or enjoying relationships fully. Family therapists who work with multi-generational families explain that when older adults consistently frame themselves as burdens, it can actually strain relationships more than the practical help they might need. It creates guilt and defensiveness in family members and can prevent open, honest communication about everyone's needs and capabilities. Instead of, "I don't want to be a burden," try, "I appreciate your help," or "Let's figure out what works for everyone." Instead of, "I'm such a burden," try, "I'm grateful for your support," or "I value our relationship." These alternatives acknowledge the reality of needing help sometimes while maintaining your dignity and the mutual value in your relationships. The 9th word that communication specialists recommend avoiding is failing when describing normal changes in memory, energy, or physical capability. The word failing suggests something is broken or defective, when what you're actually experiencing are natural changes that come with living a long life. Geriatric psychologists emphasize that the language we use to describe age-related changes significantly affects how we cope with them and how others respond to us. When you say, "My memory is failing," or "My body is failing me," you're framing normal aspects of aging as failures rather than as changes that can be adapted to and managed. Instead of, "My memory is failing," try, "My memory works differently now," or "I need to use memory strategies more than I used to." Instead of, "My body is failing," try, "My body has different needs now," or "I'm adapting to physical changes." These alternatives acknowledge changes without the negative judgment that comes with failure language. Research in positive aging shows that people who frame age-related changes as adaptations rather than failures maintain better mental health and are more proactive about finding solutions and accommodations that help them continue living fully. The 10th word that language experts suggest eliminating is useless when describing yourself, particularly in relation to technology, current trends, or new skills. This harsh self-judgment is not only inaccurate, but can also become internalized in ways that limit your willingness to engage with new experiences or seek help when needed. Cognitive behavioral therapists note that useless is an extreme all-or-nothing word that doesn't reflect the reality of anyone's capabilities. You may not be skilled in certain areas, but you have decades of knowledge, experience, and wisdom that are incredibly valuable. Using such harsh language about yourself can reinforce depression and learned helplessness. Instead of, "I'm useless with computers," try, "I'm still developing my computer skills," or "I need support with technology." Instead of, "I'm useless in social situations now," try, "I'm more selective about social activities," or "I enjoy smaller gatherings." These alternatives are more accurate and leave room for growth and adaptation. The 11th word that communication psychologists recommend avoiding is senile or senior moment when describing normal memory lapses that happen to people of all ages. These terms reinforce harmful stereotypes about aging and cognitive decline, and they're often used to describe perfectly normal experiences like forgetting where you put your keys or blanking on someone's name. Neuropsychologists who study aging and cognition explain that most memory lapses experienced by healthy older adults are not signs of cognitive decline, but rather normal variations in attention and memory that occur throughout the lifespan. Younger people experience these same lapses, but don't attribute them to age-related decline. Instead of, "I'm having a senior moment," try, "I can't remember right now," or simply, "It'll come to me." Instead of referring to yourself or others as senile, recognize that occasional memory lapses are normal and don't require age-related labels. This language keeps the focus on the specific situation rather than making broad generalizations about cognitive ability. The 12th and final word that experts recommend reconsidering is downsizing, when it carries negative connotations about loss or giving up. While downsizing might be a practical decision, the way you talk about it affects how you feel about the process and how others perceive your circumstances. Life transition counselors who work with seniors note that framing major life changes positively can significantly affect your adjustment and satisfaction with new circumstances. When downsizing is presented as something you're being forced to do because of age or decline, it feels like loss. When it's framed as a choice that aligns with your current priorities, it feels empowering. Instead of, "We have to downsize because we're getting old," try, "We're choosing a lifestyle that better fits our current needs," or "We're simplifying so we can focus on what matters most." Instead of, "I'm downsizing because I can't manage anymore," try, "I'm creating a more manageable living situation," or "I'm choosing convenience over space." Now that we've covered these 12 words, let's talk about how to implement these language changes in a way that feels natural and authentic. Communication experts recommend starting with just 1 or 2 words that resonate most strongly with you, rather than trying to change everything at once. Begin by noticing when you use these words without judgment. Simply becoming aware of your language patterns is the first step. Many women are surprised to realize how often they use diminishing or apologetic language once they start paying attention. This awareness itself can be empowering because it shows you how much control you actually have over how you present yourself to the world. Practice replacement phrases in low-stakes situations first. If you're working on eliminating unnecessary apologies, start by practicing with store clerks or casual acquaintances before moving to more emotionally charged situations with family members. This builds confidence and makes the new language patterns feel more natural. Family communication specialists also recommend sharing this journey with trusted friends or family members who can gently remind you when you slip into old patterns. Many women find that working on these changes with others creates mutual support and makes the process more enjoyable and effective. It's important to remember that changing language patterns takes time and patience with yourself. You've been using some of these words and phrases for decades, so don't expect to change overnight. What matters is the direction you're moving in, not perfection in every conversation. Communication researchers also note that these language changes often have surprising effects on how others respond to you. When you stop apologizing for taking up space, people often treat you as if you deserve more space. When you stop describing yourself as confused or useless, others are more likely to offer helpful explanations rather than dismissive responses. The goal isn't to become someone you're not, but rather to ensure that your language reflects the strong, capable, experienced woman you actually are. You've lived through decades of change, overcome countless challenges, and accumulated wisdom that can only come from lived experience. Your language should honor that reality rather than undermining it. Remember that confidence and vitality aren't about age. They're about how you choose to show up in the world. The words you use are tools that can either support your confidence and vitality or undermine them. By choosing language that reflects your strength and wisdom, you're not only improving how others see you, but also reinforcing positive beliefs about yourself. These language changes can be particularly powerful in situations where ageism might otherwise be a factor. Healthcare appointments, customer service interactions, family gatherings, or social situations. When your language projects confidence and capability, it's much harder for others to dismiss you based on assumptions about age. The ripple effects of these changes often extend beyond individual conversations. When you model confident, positive language about aging, you're contributing to changing societal attitudes about what it means to be an older woman. You're showing others that 70 is not about decline or limitation, but about continued growth, wisdom, and engagement with life. Your voice matters. Your opinions have value. Your experiences are meaningful. Your needs are legitimate. Your presence is not something to apologize for. Make sure your language reflects these truths, because when you speak with the authority and confidence that comes from 7 decades of living, the world listens differently. If these language insights have resonated with you, and you're ready to start speaking with more confidence and authority, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content that celebrates and empowers women in their golden years. Which of these words surprised you the most? Have you noticed how your language affects how others respond to you? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could inspire other women who are working on projecting more confidence and vitality. And if you're interested in more content about embracing your power and wisdom as an older woman, be sure to check out our video about the unexpected advantages of being over 70. Your voice is powerful, your experience is valuable, and the world needs what you have to offer.